Hi, my name is Tio Chino. I am a computer engineer. I am a French socialist. I am an American Democratic Party member, and I am also a member of the Democratic Socialist of America. I am making this video because I am tired of fighting about the history of the socialist movement in Europe and how it relates to here. So I used to work for Fortune 500 company. I was an employee of Time Warner Cable, AOL Time Warner, and Time Warner Cable for more than 15 years. I am an entrepreneur, and I do believe, for example, that corporations shouldn't pay any taxes. And I am a socialist. So how do you square one idea with another? So let's start on how I became a socialist, because a lot of friends of mine in France tell me, Theo, what you're telling us is from the right. It's from an economical liberal point of view. Here in New York, I say you can be a socialist and a capitalist, and they look at me like, oh my God, no, you're not. So. And what I discover is that there is a big misunderstanding between what is socialism, what is communism, what is liberalism, what is being a Democrat, a Republican, or whatever. So I decided, hey, I am Theo. I am a member of the county committee of the Manhattan County Democratic Party. I am a member of the French Socialist Party. I am a member... I believe that DSA should be part of the Socialist International, like they were since 1975, I believe. And so anyway, how can you be all these things at once and still call yourself a socialist? Well, you have to look at the history of France to understand why you can be a socialist and be a capitalistic at the same time. There is nothing preventing to be a capitalist and a socialist. However, yes, there is a problem being a capitalist and a communist. Those are not the same thing. And yes, communism started under the branch of socialism, but it is not socialism. It is communist. And so we need to start talking about putting the term and the talking point according to their brand. And my brand is a rose in a hand. And that brand means something. It means something to a lot of people. It means something to the people who don't believe into socialism. Because when you see the rose in the hand, that really means a rose in the hand, and it means a socialist movement. It is a symbol that is recognized throughout the world as being socialist. And when you have a hammer and a sickle, that brand is recognized as being a communist. And yes, socialists and communists believe in 75% of the same thing. We believe in a better world. We believe in a world where we respect each other. But there are items that makes us different. And that's why we are allies. We're not the same thing. And that's anyway. So let's start. I mean, I'll start back in my mentor. I mean, I'm lucky enough when I joined the Socialist Party. It took me 2 years before I joined the French Socialist Party here in New York, because I didn't know where I stood. I had to study a little bit. I had to read a few books. I had to make a decision, and I am a socialist because I want to make a better world. And to make a better world is you have to be able to understand the past, but also to reinvent the future. And when I talk to my comrade from DSA, from the Democratic Socialist of America, I feel that there is a big majority that are actually communist, and they're not socialist in the term of what DSA stood for. And so we need to figure that out, and I'm putting it out there on a video, so at least you break your computer screen when you get mad at me, and we'll go from there. So the first thing I wanted to talk is a little bit about how this started. I mean, it started, if I remember correctly, with anarchism. And the movement of anarchism and the crown back in 1800, one have to remember, half of the world were monarchy. And monarchy was a system which was based on where you were born. You were born in aristocracy or you were born a commoner. Back then, there were classes, and the classes were based on that. And usually the monarchy had everything, or the aristocracy had everything, and the commoner had what left over. So anarchism was really to get around and to fight that. And I think they got together. They were revolutionary. They got elected into different House of Representatives around Europe, and they created what is called the First International. And after that, some anarchists started killing people, like the Sisi. They made a movie about her with Romy Schneider. They started really being violent, and some people wanted to distance themselves from that violence. And some right-wing politician said they were the first terrorists. I mean, they're a terrorist organization. So here came a group left the anarchists, and they went on to create what is the Socialist Movement. And this Socialist Movement basically was they got together around the world, and they created the Second International, and say, well, we're the socialists, and etc., etc. And in there was another dude called Lenin, and he's like, no, we're in Russia, we need to do this, and so basically he went on and he created with the Bolshevik, the Russian socialists. They went and said, we're leaving this place, we don't like the Second International. And they went and they got together and they created the Third International. And that became the Communist Party. And like, for example, in France, and in the United States as well, back in 1919, 1920, all the people who believe in communism went on and created the Third International. So there was the Second International and the Third International. And those guys, I mean, if they weren't for them, they were part of the resistance. During World War II, they were the one fighting Nazism. They were the one bombing around the train, making sure that when the Jewish people were put in train, they were blowing up the rail. They were doing a lot of things. Communism is the reason we have democracy today in Europe after World War II. So, I mean, their movement is something we cannot forget. We have to be thankful for those revolutionary moments. And so, when I talk about communism, I don't talk about it like, oh yeah, they're communists, they're bad people. No, they are not. It's really a difference of opinion. And so I am a Second International guy, and Second International grew up and went to create the Socialist International back in the 1950s. And so this is what this whole video is about, is to try to explain the Socialist Movement as it grew up. Well, so then you get Lenin, who started experimenting. I mean, what can you say? I mean, those are leaders who had whole countries to experiment and to do something incredible. Some of those experiments fail, and so the thing is, Lenin died. Then we had Stalin. I would say a guy that was Joseph Stalin was completely a crazy dude. I mean, you see, crazy dude comes in everywhere. And the thing is, I don't know. it's this is where it gets interesting, and the history of what we see today, all those misconceptions we see in America about what is communism, what is socialism, what is liberalism, what is all that, make it very confusing. And me, as a French socialist, as an American, I mean, I believe, anyway, that's what I wanted to say in this introductory movie or video, is that the socialist movement, it's a brand. It's a rose in a hand. It's a peaceful movement, but it's also, it can be a revolutionary movement, but it's a peaceful movement first, and it's born with pragmatism. And pragmatism is about making the life for all of us, to give equality of chance to everybody, to give the opportunity to everyone to develop themselves into what they want to be: an artist, an entrepreneur, a boss, a worker, but basically to be happy in what you want to do, but also to be mindful that what we do affect other things like climate change. I mean, what we do locally have a global effect. And so the being a socialist is not a bad thing. I am glad that there is a lot of things that has progressed. I am finally glad that I can be an American and call myself a socialist and not be afraid, because I mean, I remember at work my boss would always make fun of me and never understood socialism, and we had those discussions, and that's okay. We will need, but the first thing is to put the right label with the right brand, to have the right talking point with the right imagery. And right now, DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, is all over the place. The talking point are from the Communist Party. The labeling and the branding is from the Socialist Party. So there is a lot of things we need to fix, because calling yourself a communist in America, thanks to Joseph McCarthy, there are still laws in the book that says that is bad. And we need to remove those laws from the book. Someone who wants to call themselves a communist should have the freedom of speech, should have the freedom to say they are communists, and they should do it so. They should do so openly, without any fears, without being branded, without being anything. So this is where I stand. Please write in the comments below everything you want to say about me. I mean, don't worry. I mean, I'm used. If I feel that certain comments are funny and good enough to add, I will add them. What else can I say? Well, anyway, write your comment below, ask your question, and let's see where this discussion goes. I would like you to get the book called Socialism, written by Michael Harrington. It's dedicated to Willy Brandt, who was the president of the Socialist International in the 80s. And let's have a discussion. I mean, read the book and go from there. Also, get involved in your local Democratic Party. I mean, there are so many local positions at the county level, wherever you are in the United States. If you live in New York City, I can help you with that with my website, repmyblog.nyc. If you are elsewhere in the United States, Google Democratic Party, County Committee, County Politics, anything that has to do with local politics. You don't have to spend hours. You don't have to spend more than one meeting a month. I mean, but at least get involved. Give a little bit to your community. And if you feel like joining DSA, I'm not leaving. So you're welcome to join. Google DSA, look them up, go to their meeting, and assert what you believe for. I mean, learn a lot about socialism, and we'll see you on the web. We'll see you at the convention. We'll see you maybe at the Socialist International meeting. And let's build the future together.